So we can go. I was planning on starting with Avadim Hayinu and doing the four sons and kind of going that way. But if anybody wants to do it in a different order, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Works.
So,
Whatever works for you.
My family cheats. We do the four sons in English.
okay. And so, right.
And we
So,
typecast it. It's pretty funny. There's always a remark for whoever has to be like the contrary one, you know.
right. We're always, we're four kids. So we always, I have three siblings. So we're always,
Which one are you?
I'm the wicked one, apparently.
Oh,
Well, my
can
sister's the
respect that.
contrary one. Like my sister, right now it's 47 degrees and sunny outside. My sister would tell you why it's winter and snowing, and she'd have a scientific explanation for it and everything. She always was, the contrarian. So she's definitely the contrarian. My little brother is the wise one because he got a perfect score on his SAT. He went to Cooper Union. He went to Yale for, on a full scholarship for his doctorate. And he's the youngest tenured professor at Tufts University. So,
he's a schlump.
so
Wow.
I always say amongst like my siblings, I'm the dumbest one of the bunch. So, and so then there's the one who doesn't know how to ask a question and the timid one. So, the wicked one and the timid one who doesn't know how to ask a question, which both my other brother and I are not. So we always argue over who's the wicked one and who's the whatever. And, because we argue over it.
One becomes wicked and one becomes quiet.
So exactly. So, okay. Let's go to Avadim Hayinu first. And I put it up so that you can read it. This is from, I like this Haggadah because it's got the Hebrew, the English, the everything in it. And I think the letters are block letters. They're easy to read. It's like an old Fortunoff's Haggadah. Which you can't get anymore. So whatever copies we have, we probably have like 40 copies. And over the last few years since COVID, because we don't have everybody in one place anymore, I gave 10 copies to my brother, whatever. So I went downstairs a couple weeks ago to get, and this one was on top, the one I took. I'm like, how many do we have? And we have probably a stack, I don't know, 4 inches high. I was like, ooh, we're dwindling on, what we have. But then over the years, we'll use this Haggadah the first night and then the second night, because my parents are Israeli, they don't do a second Seder. And so even though my parents lived, my mother has lived here longer than anywhere else, but so the second Seder is extraneous to her. And so every year we try to bring a different Haggadah in, or everybody bring your own Haggadah and let's, compare and contrast them. And when we get to this part, if anybody has anything interesting from their Haggadah, let's put it in. Or so we have like an entire box of just other Haggadahs that we only have one copy of every one.
You have
So
a Harry Potter one.
That's fun.
That's cool.
And we only have one copy of that.
Right, exactly. We had one year where somebody wrote a Star Wars Seder. And so we, sent out copies. We, Xeroxed it and sent out copies of it for everybody to have. We did like supplemental songs where everybody wrote their own parody and whatever. Like every year I used to host the Seder and I used to give everybody a task. So one year it was bring an article from, the paper, but bring a current news article that relates to the Pesach story in some way, shape, or form. And it was fun for people to like read their story or tell about their article and then say what it means, why does it relate to the Pesach Seder and what does it mean to them, and it's different, one year when we had kids that were like elementary school age, a lot of kids, we had them pick a piece of the Haggadah and make a Lego something out of it and bring the Lego thing to the Seder. And when we got to their part, they would present it and talk about it and all of that. So my one nephew did like all 10 plagues because he's a nerd. My brother Josh, who's the professor, his son, Did that. So that was fun. What else have we done? Right, we did one year where everybody made parody songs to popular songs, but with Pesach lyrics. And then one year we did the other. We took the Pesach songs and put secular lyrics into them. So we'd like mix it up and all that kind of stuff. So
Lymor, you mentioned your parents are Israeli and just do one Seder. Is
Mhm.
that the norm in Israel?
yes. So the only time that Israelis celebrate a 2-day holiday is Rosh Hashanah. Everything else, like the first day of Sukkot is one night of Sukkot. The first day of Passover is one day of Passover.
How did
Sukkot-
Americans do? Let's start with the 2-day thing then.
So the legend is, and I say legend because you might talk to a rabbi and they'll give you a different story. But the legend is way back in the olden days, the way that they knew when the holiday was is based on, they would, the rabbi would look up in the sky and determine when the new moon was and all of that, because our calendar's a lunar calendar. So they would look up at the moon and they know that 10 more days until the holiday. And they would go up on the highest mountain in their area and they would put together some sort of a smokestack of some sort and give the message to the next town over. And they would build a smokestack and give the message to the next town over. And they didn't know how big the world was. And they thought, well, let's do this for 2 days because we don't really know how long or when the holiday really is. So that's how they did. That's how they determined that. And so the Reformed Jews have done away with it because we have a calendar. We know when the holidays are. The conservative Jews like to joke that, well, we have 2 sides of every family, so we have to go, one day here, one day there. So that works out for us anyway. But yeah, it's that's the legend, is that it took a long time to figure out when the holiday was.
Thank you.
Hadassah did something about a 4th piece of matzah for this year because Israel is celebrating their 75th anniversary. So
Right.
I'll send this to you, Lymor, and maybe then you'll send it around.
You can send it to everybody. That's fine. We like
Yeah, but
sharing.
it's easier for me to pull your name up first.
Okay, fine. That's fine. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different
It's
A
called
lot
Matzah Celebration in honor of Israel's 75th anniversary.
okay, good. Lots of different things have changed over the years, right? Like the orange on the Seder plate, having a Miriam's cup. The Sephardim have a lot of customs that have been incorporated into other people's customs, like they eat instead of parsley dipped in salt water, they eat scallions dipped in salt water, and then they hit each other with the scallions to mimic the oppressing taskmasters.
Yeah.
Which our region did a women's Seder and they talked about that and they're like, okay, let's do this. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I don't play with my food. I'm not doing this. I'm not using food. There are a lot of people with food insecurities. I'm not using food to use as a prop in my Seder. That's not happening. So yeah. So there's a lot of those types of things that we do. And there are people that don't like, we talked last week about dipping your finger in the wine for every plague. And when you do that and you put it on the plate, now you have all these dots of blood on the plate, right? That's supposed to symbolize blood. And some people don't like that because it shows sacrifice, things like that. Or use, white grape juice or white wine or something. It's fine. My sister is married to a non-Jew, and he comes, it comes to everything, whatever, and all that. And he would come to Passover and he would say, like, we would take out the big bottles of Manischewitz and put that on the table. And then when dinner time came, we would take off the Manischewitz and put out good bottles of wine. And my brother-in-law's like, this is good wine. Is this kosher for Passover? We're like, yes. we're like, we were explaining to him, you're hard pressed to find a wine that's kosher and not kosher for Passover. Like, it just is. I'm like, but no, this is kosher wine. He's like, it's really good. He's like, why can't we have this for the 4 cups? I'm like, we can, but it's really expensive to do that. So the next year he was like, where do I buy kosher wine? And our sisterhood does a wine sale. So I sent him the form and he bought like 3 cases of wine to have for the Seders.
Oh,
That was like his contribution every year. Is he's like, I don't want to drink, excuse my French, this crappy wine. I want the good wine. And
Oh, I
if I'm
love
going to
it.
drink the good wine, you're going to drink the good wine.
We use Manischewitz for Elijah's cup and for the Harosis, and that's it.
There you go.
we love it. My husband buys it to have it in the house. It's
Oh,
just
it's so
such a
sweet.
part of like childhood. That was the only wine you could drink, as a child, and it
Ugh.
tastes like childhood.
Hilarious. And you'll see after Pesach, like on Facebook or wherever, you'll see recipe to use your leftover wine and all that stuff, Oh,
Because my husband doesn't drink, I stopped buying the Manischewitz because it's too big. So I buy the little grape juice and it just has grape juice in it for the Haroset. And then we have nice, good wine at the table.
right. So, and I always used to buy, when the kids were little, I bought the big bottles of white grape juice because inevitably somebody would spill. So it was just so much easier to have that.
I was
Okay.
waiting for Manischewitz to make a little bottle for me.
I bet they do.
But
I
just
have
ask a
never
friend.
seen that.
Ask a friend to just share a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with this. We're not going to read the whole thing. So I'll read a couple of words and then I'll call on one of you to repeat it. And we'll translate as we go along also. Avadim is slaves. Hayinu, we were. Lefaro, for Pharaoh. Bemitzrayim, in Egypt. So Avadim Hayinu Lefaro Bemitzrayim. Want to try that, Judy?
Okay. Abadim Hayanu it's fair. La Pharaoh
Mm-hmm.
Bamitzrayim.
You got it. Okay. Ve'yotzienu, this is 2 dots side by side. You can't, it's too hard to see in my copy. Ve'yotzienu, and he brought us out. Adonai, Eloheinu, God. Misham, from there. Marcy.
Naotzienu Adonai Eloheinu Misham.
You got it. Next is beyad, with a hand, chazaka, strong. Uvizroa, the zroa is the arm. Netuya, outstretched, right? So with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Jamie, you want to pick that one?
Or it's so blurry for me.
I'm sorry.
Is that a Rosh or Dalet?
It's beyad.
Okay, Dalet. Beyad, Chatzaka, Uvitz Roa, Netuya.
Yep. See, there's a dot there in the middle of there. Perfect.
Oh,
Okay. The rest of it I'll just translate. I don't think we need to know. The song itself is just where's Ata B'nei Chorin? I don't even think that's in here. This just be something my family does and not part of the thing. Could be. Okay. All right. So we won't do that. All right. The rest of it is, and if he had not, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the God of Almighty, taken our brothers from Mitzrayim, then, us and our children and our children's children. So you see here it says, Hare Anu Uvanenu Uvene Vanenu, right? It's all the same root word. because it's us and our children, and their children's children. Mesubadim, we would still be Hayinu leFaro b'Mitzrayim. We will still be pharaohs in Mitzrayim. Ve'afilu, and even though Kulanu, all of us, Chachamim, we're smart. Kulanu nevonim, we're all brave. Kulanu skenim, we're all old or aging. Kulanu yodim et haTorah, all of us yodim, we know the Torah. Mitzvah aleinu, it is a mitzvah for us, lesaper, to tell the story of B'Yetziat Mitzrayim, the leaving of Egypt, the exodus of Egypt. V'chol hamarbeh, that on all of the people, lesaper b'Yetziat Mitzrayim, that speak, that tell the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim, harei ze meshubach. These are the things that they know. Okay, and then they start going into all the different rabbis and all their different interpretations and all that stuff that is the stuff I say you could, you know, that's what lengthens or shortens the Seder, is how much you talk about what other people want to talk about leaving Egypt, right? Do you want to talk about this rabbi and this rabbi and that rabbi? Okay.
Will you send that to us with a recording just so we can practice?
I'm going to, yes, absolutely. Okay.
I have to say, interrupt and say one thing. This past weekend, I was at a bat mitzvah in Pittsburgh, and I sat next to my nephew who's in his 40s, and his bar mitzvah, I always call him my little rabbi because he knows because he can read and all that. And most of the time, if I'm in service and I can't find my place, I'll nudge him and I'll say, "Where are we?" And he did that to me because he got lost, and I was able to tell him where we were. And before, I was so proud.
That's great.
Awesome. That must have felt really good.
It did. I still can't keep up, but I can figure out where they are most of the time now.
That's what I was going to say. I get upset when I can't keep up. I'm like, but I know exactly where we are. And like, if they start kind of in the middle of the page, I'm like, oh, right here. It's exciting.
It's a start.
That's good. That's good. Listen, that's what, whenever you come to a holiday, that's when you realize how much you know from the year before, whether it's Rosh Hashanah in synagogue or whether it's Pesach at the table, whatever. Marcy, you weren't here last week, but I was introduced Passover and say that I have a friend who introduces it as the festival of our tuition dollars. Like whether your kid goes to Hebrew school or Jewish day school or whatever, like they always come home with like, we learned about Passover, and they tell it at the Seder table, and the grandparents are so excited and they're proud of the parents that they're keeping up the traditions and et cetera, et cetera. But it's the same for you guys too, that you get to, showcase what you've learned, and you get to, and even if you don't showcase it and show off, quote unquote, you at least get to show off to yourself. Look what I've done. Look what I've learned, that sort of thing, and be proud of yourself.
Say the tuition verification or validation is when your son comes home from college and you're like, we're going to go to temple. Do you want to meet our new rabbi who we're installing this weekend? He's like, sure. And he's saying all these prayers and he remembers all of them. Like, I'm so excited. Like, all of it. It's kind of cool.
I thought you were going to say he came home from college and did something stupid, and you were like, why are we sending you to college?
No, I was really excited. Like, he went to temple and I look over and he's just saying all the prayers and following along, and
awesome,
the whole service. And, it's been 6 years since his bar mitzvah and he remembers it all. So
I remembered it. That's important.
Right.
So that's what I say. These skills that you learn, you don't have to use them all the time, but they're in your back pocket and you can always pull them out whenever you need to.
But I think at our age, we need to use them all the time, or you lose them.
We need to use them or we'll lose them for sure. But like, I feel like I know how to read Haftorah. I don't love doing Haftorah. The trope itself is not like my sweet spot of my singing, so I don't like it. But if I had to do it, I could, you know?
Well, even Passover, I'm now in the throes of shopping for Passover because I do change my kitchen and stuff. And this seems so trivial, but I always just like a lot of times would have to ask, is this kosher for Passover? Because it had the Hebrew writing on it and I couldn't read it. And now I can say that it says kosher Pesach. And it's like,
Right.
I don't ask anybody.
Exactly. That's great.
Actually, one of the things that I like now, I always looked for the word Asher or Ki or Adonai. And now I don't have to just look for my 3 words to catch up.
Yeah, no, that's, that is the beauty of it, is that, and that's what this course is really about, so that you can follow along in synagogue and stuff like that. And if you want to take it a step further and have an adult bat mitzvah and all of that, that's, that's totally up to you. But the course itself is designed so that you can follow along. There's, I had an advanced beginner class last semester that I dropped them. I only had 3 women that wanted to continue, and all the other intermediate classes were also pretty small. And so they asked somebody to volunteer to drop an intermediate class. So I did. And I was, I was talking to all the other teachers to see which teacher, had a similar style to mine that maybe my students would enjoy or whatever. But I wanted to give them an idea of, this is this teacher and this is what she does and this is what this does and this is what this does, so they could pick the class, and here's when they're meeting and they could pick their class. And one of the teachers said, oh, we study a little bit of Parshat Shavua every week. I'm like, oh, this woman would love that, like, because they kind of go through a little bit, so that when they get to shul, they're not completely lost as to, where they're at and that sort of thing. So it's kind of nice. All right, so let me share my screen. We'll go over, are you interested in going over the 4 sons, or should we skip to Dayenu?
It's up to you.
Marcy doesn't do the 4 sons in Hebrew. What about you guys? Do you do them in Hebrew, or do you
We
want to
do
skip
them
to
in
Dayenu?
English,
Okay, we'll
but-
skip to Dayenu.
Although it's still good to read.
Yeah.
We can go back to it, but let's do the things that we want, that we, that we know we want to get to. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so Dayenu is all about all the miracles of God. And if he had just done this, it would have been enough for us, right? So if he had just taken us out of Egypt, if he would have, oh, I should go get let me go get my thing so I have the translations, because I didn't copy the translations.
And here I'm sitting here trying to read it. I try
Yeah.
whenever I get the chance. But someone told me I was having trouble with the Dalet, and someone told me the Dalet has a dent, and that's helping me.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's what because I was having trouble between the Dalet and Levet.
There you go. Okay, so so this is here. Let me unshare my screen to show you. This is the Haggadah.
Well, that's what we use, the gold.
Yeah. Right, so that's this one.
Like the Schechter, what used to be the Schechter.
Right, and
obviously.
it's like, broken and everything, and but anyway, I'm sure like on the pages by the food, there's like food stains. Yeah, there's wine stains here.
Definitely
Wine
wine
stains where the
stains.
maror and the bitter herbs are, a well-worn item. Okay, so let me reshare this screen, and okay, so this is all about, had he just did this for us, it would have been enough for us, but he also did this, and that would have been enough for us. And so had he just brought us out of Egypt, had he just executed judgment against the Egyptians, had he not destroyed their idols, had he destroyed their idols and not slain their firstborn, had he just slain their firstborn and not given us their possessions, had he given us their possessions but not divided the sea for us, had he divided the sea and not brought us through it dry shod, meaning without getting wet, had he brought us through it dry shod and not drowned our oppressors in it, it would have been enough. Had he drowned our oppressors and not sustained us in the wilderness 40 years, which I find to be very funny, by the way, that we wandered the desert for 40 years and he's like, he sustained us through those 40 years. He made us who we are today, kind of, had he not sustained us, had he sustained us in the wilderness 40 years, but not fed us manna, had he fed us the manna, but not given us the Sabbath, had he given us the Sabbath and not brought us to Mount Sinai, had he brought us to Mount Sinai, but not given us the Torah, had he given us the Torah and not brought us into the land of Israel, had he brought us into the land of Israel and not built the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, Dayenu. I wish I knew I wish I would have looked up the origin of this to see kind of how this came about, but these are the things that, when we're trying to, thank God for things, we came up with these. I don't know how many stanzas are there in here. There's 21, 29, 28, 27, 26, probably 13 different stanzas. Okay. So we'll go through a few of them and I can record the whole thing too. So we'll see. Okay. So we'll start on line 2. So this is Ilu Hotzianu Mi Mitzrayim. Judy, you want to take that one?
Okay. Ilu Hotzianu Mi Mitzrayim.
Okay. Velo asa vahem shefatim. Marcy?
Velo asa vahem shefamim.
Shefatim. Yep.
Shefatim.
Good. Ilu asa vahem shefatim. Jamie?
Elo asa vahem shefatim.
Perfect. Velo asa velo hehem. Judy?
Belo Hasha Belo Ha Haim.
Okay.
Haim?
Velo hehem.
Oh, Belo Haim.
Yep. This is Velo hehem is their idols, right? We talked about their idols. Elohim is the root of that, right? Okay. Ilu asa velo hehem. Marcy?
Ilu asa velo hehem.
Velo harag et bechorehem, Jamie.
Velo harag et bechorehem.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to assume you all do this melody, but if there's another one, we can totally do it also. But we do Ilu Hotzi Hotzianu Hotzianu Mi Mitzrayim Hotzianu Mi Mitzrayim Dayenu, right?
Yep.
And then I don't know, for those of you that do this in Hebrew, do you read everything? Or do you have one person that just kind of reads it through and you guys say Dayenu?
We do it together, and we do like Etat Torah, Etat Shabbat, and I think the first one, and that's
right,
it.
so you do the first one probably. So we do the first one slow, and then we go faster, and whoever can keep up can keep up. And we'll do like Ilu asa bahem shvatim velo asa belohem dayenu. We don't do the whole dayenu. We just kind of go on, and then we'll kind of signal, now we'll do it. So every like 5 or 6 stanzas, we'll do the whole Dayenu thing. So that's that piece. So let's go over to the Man and the Shabbat. So this one is, so we'll do these 3 lines, and then we'll go to the next page and do those couple of lines with the with Israel and Mount Sinai and stuff. So I'm going to start on, let's go out to 20 because 19 and 19 repeats in 20, right? So we'll start with 20. Ilu ha'echilanu. This means le'echol means to eat. So he fed us at Haman, the man that came out of the sky. Ilu ha'echilanu et Haman. Judy?
Ilu ha'alanu et aman.
Perfect. Velo natan lanu et hashabat. Marcy.
Below Natan Lanu et Hashabat. Dayenu.
Mhm.
Okay, poor Debbie is on, I think she's in California and she keeps forgetting the time. She's like, do we have class today? I'm like, we're in the middle of it. So bad. And last week was it Debbie that had a problem getting on? So she got on an hour before just to see if she could get on. And she was like, I'm going to stay on because I'm on.
Oh.
I felt so bad for her. Okay. Let's start here on line 3. Ilu kervanu lifnei har Sinai. This is if he had brought us or gotten us closer to Har Sinai or got us in front of Har Sinai. Ilu kervanu lifnei har Sinai. Jamie.
Elo Carvanu Lifnei Har Sina.
Perfect. Velo natan lanu et haTorah. Judy?
Elo natan lanu et Torah.
Yep.
Torah.
haTorah. Yep.
Torah.
And that's that he gave, that he
Torah.
gave us the Torah. Let's go to these 2 lines. Line 7. Ilu hichni sanu, if he brought us into le'eretz Yisrael, into the land of Israel. Marcy?
Ilu Hichni Sanu Le'eret Yisrael.
Perfect. Velo bana lanu, and he didn't build for us et Beit Habchira, the temple. Velo vana lanu et Beit Habchira. Jamie?
Below Vanu Lan. Yeah, Vanu Lan.
Vana.
Vana. Is that dots or
There's no
Vana?
dot in there, just vana.
Vana Lanu et Beit Habchira.
There you go. Okay. Perfect. Okay, I'm just writing this down so I don't forget to tape it. Okay. All right, next one is does this one come first? This one comes first. So this is a deer who at the end. So we've got after Dayenu is when we do all the symbols of the Passover of the Pesach Seder, Pesach Matzah Maror. We're going to do the bitter herbs. We're going to do the sandwich. And then we sit down for the meal. And then we do Birkat Hamazon and the 3rd cup. And we go into Hallel. And after Hallel, and the 4th cup, I think. The 4th cup and Elijah. I think maybe the 4th cup and Elijah is before. There's the 3rd cup. And then the fourth cup, and then the final part of the Seder where you say Lashana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, and after that you have a couple of ending songs. So this, again, very much like Dayenu, it talks about how mighty God is, right? And it talks about all of the great things that he is. And so let's go down to a bigger stanza, something like this, right? And I'll just sing it very quickly, but then you're going to tell me what you hear. Tahorhu, Yachidhu, Kabidhu, Lamudhu, Melechu, Norahu, Sagivhu, Izuzhu, Podehu, Tzadiku, Ivnei Beito Bekarov, Bimheira, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bekarov, El B'nei, B'nei Beitcha Bekarov. So what did you hear repeated here? Oh, I didn't share my screen when I did that, did I? You just watched me. Okay, I'll do it again so you could see it. But I'll do one that's not as long. Hadurhu, Vatiku, Zakaihu, Chasidhu, Yivnei Beito Bekarov. So what is the word that's repeating here?
Who?
Who means him. So this is the longer one I read was, he is pure, he is unique, he is omnipotent, he is wise, he is majestic, he is revered, he is exalted, he is strong, he is redeeming, and he's righteous. And the other one I read was, he is glorious, he is faithful, he is just, and he is gracious. So it's talking about all of the attributes of God. And how amazing it was that he brought us out of Egypt. And this is, the other part is, he's going to build his temple soon. He's going to build his home, Beito, a bait is a house. He's going to build his home soon. Bimheira, bimheira, speedily, in our days, in the days that we're alive. Hopefully we'll get to see the Beit HaMikdash again, right? So I imagine this was probably added after the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, right, the second time, and that we decided not to build it. And so this song is added to the Haggadah after that. So let's just read a paragraph or two of this. And I'll record the whole thing. So if you want to learn it, if it's something you do at your Seder, you'll have it. Okay, let me share the screen again. Okay. Adir hu yivne veito bekarov. Judy, is it your turn again?
Probably. Adiru, who, Yabin, no, Yavina.
Yivne.
What?
Yiv.
Okay.
Ne.
Yivne,
Perfect.
Beito, Bekarov.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh,
Next, yep, that's it. Bimheira, Beyamenu, Bekarov, Marcy.
Bimheira, Bet Yamenu Vikarov.
Perfect. El B'nai, B'nai Veitcha Bekarov, Jamie.
El B'nai, B'nai Veit Ha Bekarov. Rove.
Perfect. Okay. Bahur who? Judy?
Bahar who,
Gadol who, Marcy?
Gadol who,
Dagul who, Jamie?
Agul who.
Yivnei Veto Bekarov, Judy.
okay. Yibenu, no. No, wait, don't tell me. Yibena, no, Yav,
Yiv Na.
Yivna, Batu, Bakarov,
Good.
Bekarov.
Bekarov. Now I'm gonna switch it up because
Wait,
you're
is it Ve or Be?
Be.
Be with a B, right?
Yep.
and it's
Yiv.
Be-
So the
Be-
whole thing is Yivna Veto Bekarov. Okay, Jamie, I'm gonna call on you for this piece so that you can get something different.
Okay.
Bim Heira, Beyamenu Vekarov.
Beam hara. It's beam hera.
Yeah,
Beam hera. Biyamenu vikarov.
perfect. All right, Marcy. B'nai, B'nai Veitcha Bekarov.
El B'nai, B'nai, Vecha, Veitcha, Bekarov.
Perfect. Okay. Shooty, I'm gonna give you a chance to do this also.
Okay.
You didn't get a chance yet. So do lines 4 and 5. I know it's a lot, but I'll leave you off the hook for the rest of the day. How about that?
Okay. Beim hara, Be hara, Beyamenu, Bekarov, El, Benu, El,
B'nai.
Benuha, or is it just Benu? Bena, no,
B'nai.
Bena,
B'nai.
Bena, Vatek, Bekorov.
Beitcha Bekarov.
Wait, are we talking about the last word on 4?
The last 2 words on 4 are B'nai
Ve-
Veitcha.
Right, and then it's
The last one is
Bekarov.
Bekarov. Got it?
Yep,
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to tape for you. Dayenu, Avadim Hayinu, and Adirhu. And I have 4 sons from last year, so I'll send that over. If that's something you want to do again.
And the corresponding text.
And the corresponding texts. And then the only other thing I have for next week is a Chad Miyodea. But if there's anything else you want, let me know and I will get it ready for next week.
The Birchad Hamazon, yeah, because we do that after, at least our Seder, after
Yes.
the meal.
Okay.
I can do like the familiar part that everybody knows, but my whenever I have something at my synagogue, they do the whole thing, and I'm just totally lost. So
Okay.
maybe
It's part of the
someone-
curriculum to do that. Do you want to try and do that before Pesach or is it okay to do after Pesach?
Oh, after Pesach's fine.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, that is part of our curriculum. I have that on here to do.
And the other one I'm hoping to learn more of is the Ashrei, because of the whole. Whenever I go to services, they always repeat it, and I'm lost on that too.
Okay. I'm
I just
writing
can't
that
do it
down.
fast enough, I think, more than anything.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Perfect. We'll do those 2. After Pesach, we'll get with those. Good.
Thank you.
All right. Have a
Great.
good week. I will see you next week. And then remember the week after that, we don't have class, the 7th.
The same
Oh,
day.
okay, good. My daughter's getting her wisdom teeth out, so I wasn't gonna be able to make it.
Perfect.
So,
There you
okay.
go.
I will,
Just
be-
have-
I
okay,
will be
great.
cooking.
Okay.
We will be having cider. I will be cooking.
There you go. All right.
Shalom,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.